Hello and welcome back to Cardboard Decoy Plays Kerbal Space Program. Sorry if my voice sounds a little funny. I am in the process of a pretty major cold at the moment. It sucks. Real bad, but fortunately it's not so bad that I can't cast, especially since I am home from work sick at the moment. I figure why not try to record some episodes. I've been super busy. I've accomplished quite a bit. I did a bunch of research and now I have mods, quite a few. First of all, a Kerbal alarm clock. We're kind of testing this out right now, and basically what's going to happen is it should let us know about when we are going to be hitting the Minmus approach here, so which is going to be really important. Why are we going to Minmus? Well, it's because we got this ship. Why am I flying a giant Steely Dan through space towards Minmus? Well, I can explain that momentarily as well. However, this is not a Steely Dan. This is a, what's it called? Fairings. Yes, I downloaded some fairings. I now have KW rockets. That is one of the many mods that I have added, including a docking mod, and also this mysterious mod that I'm going to leave up just long enough for you to be able to read it, but pretend that you couldn't. So, yes, we'll come back to this here in a minute. It's going to let us know whenever we are going to hit that. So, when we go hit that, let me go ahead and, first of all, we're going to go to, let's see, set focus view. Yes, so as you can see, I have a new satellite here, and they are both in a polar orbit. Well, that's the other one there. Jeb is still on the surface of the planet. Let's go switch to, and here we go. We are now at our station, which has a new fuel tank attached to it. However, we do not need the station for much longer. I succeeded in doing quite a bit of research in the interim, and now it's pretty much a no big deal kind of situation. So let me see. Does this change? This doesn't really change, does it? Let's see. Alignment margin, 2 hours, 1 minute. Time to event. Yeah, okay, it is telling me. It's going by minutes, though. Okay, 19 days, 2 hours, X minutes, no seconds. That was what was throwing me off. Okay, I just wanted to see. I haven't actually used the alarm clock for anything yet, but now I just am super curious, so naturally I'm going to look at it. Let's go to, well, I mean, yeah, there's the moon. Let's go and see how busy I've been in regards to research. And here's our results. I have almost 1,500 research, which is a lot, to say the least. It's enough for almost 5 different things. We're going to get the 5th thing, but here in a minute. What we're going to do in order to get the 5 things is we're probably going to fly a space plane really quick, or something space plane-ish, and that'll be the major feature of this particular episode. But I'm trying to think, what else did I add? Because I added a bunch. Let's go ahead and we are going to go to the vehicle assembly building and look at some of the goodies. Okay, so we have a bunch of, this is all in KW Rocketry mod. It's basically just some alterations on a lot of the stuff that we already have. There's no new pods in it. At least, not yet, I don't think. So, if we go to propulsion, we can see that we can do an orange tank like this, like we have had. Or we could do the slightly larger option of this tank, which is basically, it's the same diameter, but just a teensy bit bigger, so it's got a little bit of extra fuel in it, and it looks a little bit more professional than the big orange tank. I understand the orange tank is definitely for those of you who really enjoyed the shuttle program while it was still around. But this does look like a slightly more professional rocket now, which I appreciate personally. Let's go ahead and we're going to make a really simple rocket with some of the fun stuff. There's now a lot of side-mounted, let's see, what is this? This is, they're solid fuel. Yes, they are solid fuel. Okay. Basically, huge solid fuel side rockets. That's not one of them. Here we go. This is, no, that's a Ullage motor. That's not what I want. Where are you? Where? Aha, here we go. So we could add a bunch of these now if we want. Bam! Look at that. Insanity, I realize. Okay. Hey, are you gonna attach? Yeah, you'll attach down here. Okay, I see how it is. Let's see. Does it have an ejection force? It does not. Liquid fuel, oxidizer. Let's look at control. Control has a few extra RCS things that appear to be almost completely, what you call it, just blah blah blah. RCS things that are just, oh my god, aesthetic. There we go. It took me a second, sorry. So what do we need? We need side-mounted release mechanisms. Yes, something or other. Okay, we'll put that there. And we have new decouplers, which are basically the same, but again, just more aesthetically pleasing. So they blend in a little bit better. We've got a few extra adapters to play with. Nothing too terribly major, but could come in handy. This is a type of fairing that's kind of interesting, and maybe we'll play with that. Because we'll see the other kind of fairing in action, which falls under here. So we have like fairing cones and stuff like that. This is the kind of stuff I really wanted, and like I knew this mod existed, and there was a couple other mods I've been mentioning in the past few videos where I was like, you know, I wish this was a thing, and I look it up, and sure enough, it is a thing. It is a real thing that is good. So especially since I was using all of the lunar maps and that kind, or mooner maps, I suppose you could say. I was like, man, that's got to be, where do they get these maps from? Like, this is real data somewhere. And then I saw a particular subtitle on one of them, and I was like, oh, that answers a lot of my questions right there. How convenient. All right, this is, where's our high thrust one? We want the, yeah, here we go. We'll do that. We're playing with all new rockets here. That's the plan. So, and then this automatically has its own engines, I think. I can't remember. Fuel tank. Okay. Okay, these are just tanks. For a second, I thought they were actual, they were actual, solid rocket boosters, but no, this is still, again, I think the major appeal for this particular mod, for me at least, is that everything looks just a shade more realistically professional-ish something or other. Like, I think that's really cool, and it's got kind of the shielding on the outside and that kind of a deal, and I really enjoy that. So let's go pods. We don't have any new stuff that I could really use. What do I want to do? I want to let's go aerodynamic. Yeah, let's just do like a really simple fairing really quick. We want to launch like the world's smallest barely functional satellite probe really quick. That's gonna be the plan here. Let's go fairing cone, and we put it on like that. That's not gonna fit. They have a little bit of issue with actually selecting the parts on that, but you know, that's a whatever. 2.5 fairing cone. That's a expanded fairing cone. Where's the normal? 1.25 fairing base. Okay. So they should have a, well, no, that's right, we're gonna show an example of this particular sort of fairing before too long. Okay, can we just, there we go. Alright, so let's do the pedal one. Where is it? This one is pretty cool. So we're just going to do this. Well, we're going to build a thing around it first. Or can we? Okay. This thing is a little interesting because you can't really stage it. Staging is a no-no, because it's not like the most perfect thing in the world. So I'm trying to make sure I have everything here in the right order. Okay, and then we'll do structural, and let's just do this thingy. This is definitely not the most ideal way to construct this thing, but again, we're just playing. Okay, this is gonna let me. It's not. What are you doing? How are you gonna be really cool if you're not gonna let me be cool? It's definitely, I mean, again, this is a mod. It's not exactly built in the most ideal way you would really want, I don't think. Okay, I think I know what I need to do. Oh, sigh. Okay, 1 second. Let's do a adapter interstage. Sure, let's do this one. And then this one, and then this will be able to attach to that. Yes, now it all makes more sense. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Okay. I just want to make like the world's stupidest tiny thing. That's all. Alright. And structural with like that. Sure, that'll work. I'm okay with that. And then we will do this guy, and then we'll make a Stay Putnik brand sort of satellite with some antennas. So basically, we're spending a whole bunch of money on just showing off that this thing opens up in a cool way. And there we go. Three antennas, and we'll do... there's other science things here. Don't worry about that just yet. And then there's other things here. We're not going to worry about that either. We'll get a much more interesting demonstration of that before too long, for sure. Utility. Yes. 1.1 by 6. Where are you? Ah, yeah. You're right there. Okay, cool. Cool. Alright, we got our little basic guy here. Is it going to let me attach? No. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I want you to work like I want you to work. Okay. Move you. Attach that there. And... is it gonna... Oh, this is dumb. This is getting real dumb. Oh, maybe I need a fairing base? Structural. We need a 2.5 fairing base, which is actually going to be an aerodynamic. No. 2.5. 2.5 expanded fairing base. No. Okay, let's move you over here. And we'll move you right here. I think this does it. Maybe. I want you to work. I made this work before, dang it. This always happens. Okay, let's see. And then, like so. No? You're not gonna do it either, huh? How am I supposed to... Deployable decoupler shroud. Perfect for storing landers or other dockable accessories. Ideal way, so you must use action groups or right-click the part during flight to operate it. Alright, well, let's... I got this to work before, and now it's not working. So what else is new, basically? Okay, let's do 2.5. Where are you? You're pretty big, so we'll need a... Yes. Okay. And like that, maybe? Maybe? No. No again. How irritating. I have gotten this to work, damn it. I swear. Yes. Okay, there we go. More or less. Protective nose cone? 2 point... Yeah! There we go. Let's go ahead and we're going to make a decoupler bit for it. Where are you? Decoupler bit. We want... structural. I'm spending a lot of time on this, more than I originally anticipated, so I apologize, but maybe it'll be worth it. Let's see. 2.5 meter nose cone. Okay, there we go. We've got the genie in the bottle. And now we need to, let's double check everything. And that, and that. Okay, we're not going to worry about that too much. None of this decoupling is going to matter in a minute anyways. Okay, so we're going to, test craft. Test craft. Okay, there we go. And then save and launch. It's going to crash into the thing, isn't it? This episode is going to be a little bit long, so don't worry about it too much. It's kind of intended so I could show off all this cool stuff. And we still got 19 days left before we have to worry about our trip to Minmus. Alright. Oh, are you serious? Are you... To launch. Hold on. Well, we have a new candidate for dumbest thing I've ever seen happen. Let's see. Thrust! Yes. Beautiful. Look at it. That's pretty cool. I like it. I like it aesthetically. Again, as far as actual pragmatism goes, you know, that's anybody's debate, and you can say what you want about it. But I think this kind of stuff is super, super dandy. I am a big aestheticist, though, if that's an actual term, which I'm pretty sure it's not. Still, regardless, my point is, you know, I want the stuff to look fancy and really cool, and even more phallic than before, hence the Steely Dan reference from before. And that's not just a band. The band was named after something. And massive, huge trivia points if you can tell me what, although don't share it with anyone who is a minor, naturally. So, let's see. I'm going to continue drinking more coffee that is laced with honey to hopefully soothe my throat. Good stuff. Okay. And here we go. We're approaching the 10,000 mark. And then our 3 on the side are going to get not blown off because I did not equip them with any way to blow off. Oh well, we shouldn't lose that much forward momentum now that we are in the thinner part of the atmosphere, but these things still going, so if anything, some of our engines will stop overheating as much. No big deal. So let's see, what does it do? We're going to go back up? Yeah. I've noticed this kind of happening whenever my engines flare out. They will flare out and then I lose a lot of momentum, almost as if they had fired backwards, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense no matter how you try to slice it. But, you know, it's kind of whatever. But we're going to keep going here until we are completely out of fuel. And let's do time warp times 3. Sure, why not? I don't think we have enough stuff to really be worried about here, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, go, 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 go. We have so much fuel. So much fuel. We're just going to keep going right into space. Yep. How far out are we going to get? I don't know. Who cares? Still, if nothing else, this proves the fact that we have rocket capabilities that are just super fine and dandy. Let's keep going until we are actually somewhere where we can see what we're doing here, namely out from behind the sun. That would be ideal, but it's not going to happen because of how we launched, but, you know, whatever. Okay, fine. Well, you can see well enough, I hope. Let's go ahead and we are going to decouple you. Bam! Wow, that thing really took off. Those are powerful-ass decouplers. Or a really light nose cone. One of the two. Or I'm already falling again. No, I'm still rising. Okay, cool. And then we will de-open fairing. And it's going to open very slowly. Ah, look at that. Isn't that precious? Okay, first decouple. That's going to decouple that top ring there, that's okay. And then we'll decouple this thing, which didn't exactly do what I wanted it to do. But that's cool, whatever. And then this thing should be decoupled completely. Yeah, I think now all we have is the big honkin' front plate. Alright, maybe I messed it up. That's an entire possibility that I did not take into account there. But pretend that satellite launched out and then we put a needless satellite up into space that is going to eventually crash down into the surface anyways. Alright, revert flight to vehicle assembly. Fantastic. Nobody died, but it was fun. Still, as you can see, fairings are kind of neat. This one in particular, however, maybe not as much. It's very cool in concept, but I think it probably still needs a lot of work. So that's fine. This stuff is going to be very important fairly soon. And be very instrumental in a particular mission we've been trying to accomplish for some time and not succeeding in. And I'll say more on that later, but it's a very cool, very, very cool mod that I'm hoping is not nearly as glitchy as I assume it should be, probably. So, let's see. Magnet in a fixed position. See, I don't know where any magnets are. Boat, airship, anything else. In addition to its weight, drag friction when touching the ground, pipe joint, yeah, pipe endpoint, I get that. Ground pylon, strut endpoint, makes sense. Horizontal stack winch, a cable. This I'm still not sure about. Something about magnets. I don't know where magnets are necessarily. Well, anyways, let's go exit this, and then what we're going to do is make a very quick space plane, since I've been kind of practicing and I realized where I've been messing up before. I think I have new space plane stuff, do I? I'm not sure. Well, the whole point of this particular part, really quick, is basically showing that I know how to do more stuff, that I've been busy, so don't mind me. Again, this is going to be a fairly long episode, but regardless, it should be real fun. So let's go, propulsion, structural pods. There we go. That's what we need first. Duh. Alright, we're going to do an inline cockpit because that seems like the most fun thing to do. Electronic monopropellant, okay. And aerodynamic, utility. Let's see, we're going to make a tubular rocket. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Crash tolerance. And we're going to stick that there. That's got quite a bit of air intake area. Air intake area is 0.005. It's got a little bit of liquid fuel in it too, which is, I guess, alright. And fuselage intake. You know what? What's the difference here? Air intake Air intake is super important because whenever you have fuel, it's not going to be able to burn with anything unless if you don't have any oxygen. So this actually, intake air is 0.2, 0.5. Okay, so this one is better. We're going to do this because it'll be a little bit easier to balance later, I think. And then, no, we don't need that kind of a nose cone. Yeah, that's a little bit better, but let's see if we have anything that's actually supposed to be used as a nose cone. Circular intake on the front. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Alright, and then propulsion. We are going to just have a big cylindrical thing. Alright. Okay, so this is already exactly what I wanted to have happen. No, this is wrong. We want actual just fuel. Where is just fuel? Most of the just fuel for planes actually is going to be tied up with the sort of plane thing. So the first thing we're going to do is take out the oxidizer. We don't need the oxidizer because we're pulling it in through the air here. What we do need is going to be a jet engine. Basic jet engine. Yeah, that's all I got, so that'll work. Okay, and then we turn on center of mass, center of thrust, and then we do this. So whenever you use up fuel, it's going to shift your center of mass ever so slightly, as you can see. This is not a good thing. This is exactly the wrong thing that you do not want to have happen. So we need to fix that very quickly. Let's go ahead and first of all add some legs so that we have something to land on. There we go. Two. Okay. There we go. We need a little bit wider spread on that. And these. Ooh. So again, I'm just explaining sort of the principles here. I can probably do this outside of the channel that we're going to end up, or outside of, you know, what we're going to end up being displaying here anyways. So there we go. That sort of worked. When it's full, it's over here. When it's light, it's over here. So that means we need to shift this back a little bit. That's not really going to change it. Okay. These things aren't really heavy enough to affect the center of mass. So let's go aerodynamic. And we need wings. What do we have for, yeah, wings here? Okay. We'll do the short stubbies. And if we move it forward, right now it's empty. So we need about as much as we could possibly get right here. Okay, that's going to continue shifting things back just a little bit. And then we'll get some elevators. Elevons, whatever they're called. Whoa, whoa, there we go. And Elevon 2. Yes, very short Osprey-ish sort of configuration here. No, there we go. Okay, there we go. That'll allow us to raise and lower, and then we need to be able to turn right and left eventually. And that will be with our little tail fin buddy here. Actually, well, no, it's not going to let me attach it on there. That's fine. Okay, that'll work just as well. And double winglet. Whoa. Attach to the bottom, you. Why won't you attach to the bottom? Well, whatever. Okay. There we go. That probably put 2 on there. That's whatever. I don't care. And look, our center of mass is not moving. Now the thing we should all be afraid of is the center of lift, which is way over there. Okay, this might screw things up a little bit, but that's fine. And center of mass still shifts a little bit, but this is a much, much more improved upon thing that we're doing here. So let's go ahead and this is a Kerbal Space plane cruiser something or other. Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. And we will save that and launch. Now we are going to look and see what we can actually pull off with this thing. Flying in atmosphere actually takes quite a while, so don't expect this to be like a full episode of this or anything. And here we go. We are now taking off. It takes a while for the engines to actually spin up. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, the reason why all my rockets were dumb and not really working the way I had wanted them to is because I didn't understand the idea that once the fuel ran out, then our ability to control our plane is very dramatically altered. Let's go ahead and pull up. Whoa! That was a crazy pull up. And we have flight. And yeah, we're going to continue going up until our intake air gets really dangerously low. So There is terminal velocity is relatively implemented in such a way that if you're in thicker atmosphere, then you can't go as fast as you would like to, unfortunately. So that's not any fun. So what you do is you go up and up and up and up into the atmosphere as much as you possibly can. Yeah, man, we're pulling some crazy G's in this thing. It's not a bad design. Alright, and now we're heading due north and up some more. Yeah, compared to my last little attempt there, turning was a lot harder, so I don't know exactly what I changed here, but the short stubby wings are a pretty solid design. It's nice. What can I say? So now we go faster and faster. We're still 19 days out from our Minmus approach there, but that's whatever. You can see it's kind of slightly wanting to tilt up and up, which is probably normal. Yeah, my intake air is starting to drop. But I really want to get into at least the upper atmosphere here so that we can start gaining some real speed and, you know, go meet Kerbal Claws or whatever his relative name is in this particular universe. So if you add more intakes, you can get more air even whenever the atmosphere is thinner. And the last thing we want to do is stall out. So I won't be doing that exactly just yet. Let's see, specific impulse, thrust, status, shut down engine. Alright, so if we get to point 10, we'll level out and then just go forward. Yeah, there we go. So we have to correct a little differently. It does handle very differently from your average rocket, since you do have to contend with the atmosphere and all of that fun stuff, but... Whoa, hey, easy. Whoa. I'm about to stall out pretty bad. Intake air. Whoa. Okay. Let's calm it down here, Broseph. Alright. Yeah, intake air is still fine. It went crazy for a second, but mostly because, I guess maybe my center of mass is more altered than I had expected it to be. That's entirely the thing that is most likely to have happened now that I've actually used up some of my fuel here. But we get crazy ISP with this thing. So my specific impulse is 1100 some odd, which is really efficient, to say the least. That's at least 3.5 times more efficient than most of the rockets I use. So, you know, whenever you're flying through atmosphere, this might be really important knowledge in the future that we'll have to take into account, because we might be going to other planets fairly soon, and it would be really good to know how to traverse them somewhat reasonably. So let's level out again. And this thing's got some real control issues, and I think most of it has to do with the fuel tank. But as you can see, our projected course is not that great because we're going pretty slow. So it's not like we're achieving orbit with this thing anytime soon. And maybe I'll try this again later, but for right now, let's just revert to launch. And what I'm going to do, I want to get this last little 5 bits of research. So let's go crew report, keep, and then EVA. Alright, let go. Cool stuff. And EVA report, keep, take service sample, keep, and then, recover vessel. And then we'll also recover the space plane on the ground. I just wanted to show off that now I can make space planes. Yeah! So, yes, let's see. Next, done. Let's go ahead and get science. Now that we have 1,500, that means we can get 5 of these. Let's get rover stuff, hey? And then let's get some nuclear engines. And then let's look at the really expensive stuff that we're not going to get just yet. But man, oh man, will we? Oh yes, we will. It's definitely getting super expensive now. We got 550 for all this top grade stuff. Which I guess we could get one if we really wanted. Is there one that we really want, though, is the question. Those are big wheels for big rovers, which we will definitely probably want to get our hands on at some point. But right now, let's go ahead and look. We've got radial winches and carrier stuff and structural things. We got more space plane parts, which may, again, become somewhat important in the future. And also larger fairings. Larger fairings also possibly important in the near future. More space plane stuff. We've got lander cans, fuel tanks, and a cupola module. Ah, yes, this was the thing I definitely wanted. So this is going to make building a space thingy much easier. Sturdy, cubic, relatively lightweight probe core. Ah, probe cores. Ooh, and then these. Those are cool too. Okay, I see where we are. And then, yes, actually, ooh, do I want this? I might want this. Okay. Let's go ahead and... Oh, no, I want this more. All right, we're going to research that. Okay, cool. So now we have 300 points left. And this is Communitron and Seismic Accelerometer. Seismic Accelerometer is definitely tempting. But let's go ahead and, yeah, we'll get that. That'll tie into the last thing I want to show off really quick. And what is inside the Steely Dan, you ask? It is actually a mapping satellite. So there is a new feature, or not a new feature, but it is a mod that I picked up. Remember how I was complaining that satellites don't really have a whole lot of purpose? You just sort of get research and then, you know, that's it. You're done with them. Well, now I have fixed that. And again, I'm kind of curious. Analyze data. Oh, hey, that's worth a pretty decent amount of science there. We'll have to make sure we put a satellite in orbit that can handle that. Okay, reset experiment. Okay, this has no transmitter on it, so we can't send it back, unfortunately. So, yeah, what does this say? It's another 20. Okay, cool. But what this does is this actually creates maps. So now we can have fully functional maps of the terrain we're trying to traverse, and also new ways to navigate, new data to look at while we're trying to find a good landing spot to traverse around. So here we go. This is our altimetry data, which just basically shows us the altitude of different things, and we can mouse over it, and over here in this corner it gives us a rough idea of the height. So that's a 5,000 meter mountain, so 5 kilometers high. Pretty tall mountain. That's pretty cool. And then yeah, you can basically see all of this stuff, and then we can also check out the biomes. The biomes are the super handy dandy part. Ignore that. And so, yeah, now we can see where all of the biomes are on the map, and then that will make actually seeking out biomes to go look at them without cheating a little bit easier. Just a little bit. Unfortunately, you can't really mark the map, and also, kind of unfortunately, the one thing that feels really cheatery about this is that you can now spot anomalies on the map. You can see these little anomaly markers. That's where there's Easter eggs on the surface of the planet. So if we really felt like it, we could go, you know, poke around and see some of the goofy things this game has to offer, which is definitely kind of a cool idea for sure. So yeah, there's our anomaly. We're about to pass right over it in our next orbit here. But yeah, so now that is super cool. And we'll explore this element a lot more in the next episode. And then we're going to start evacuating and deorbiting our lunar base. So that's what's going to be happening next. Either way, yes, thank you for joining me for this extra long episode of Cardboard Decoy Plays Kerbal Space Program. And now with super cool mods. I know I kept saying I was resisting mods, but I was like, you know what? This stuff is actually really cool. This is exactly why I think modding is more of how modding should be done. So I totally support it. Either way, yeah. So until then, I will see you next time. Have fun.